I got the starter fixed up and it's back on. It still turns over kind of slow, but we're charging up the battery. Maybe that's a problem. The starter, it certainly is a hurt unit, but it should technically crank the thing up and start it. While I'm waiting for the battery to charge, I took the carburetor off. I opened it up. There was some crap in the bottom of it. I blew that out. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this ignition because the sparks seem to be kind of random at best. So we'll go over the ignition, make sure everything's good, and we'll try and crank it up. So this is where we're at now. I monkeyed around with it and I finally got where I had a nice hot spark on all 4 cylinders, but she still wouldn't light. So I took the spark plugs out and you can see there's some weird size. I got no compression test adapter that'll fit those. So I just put my thumb over each hole and turned it over, and I found only number 1 had compression. The other 3 were dead. Well, no wonder it wouldn't start. So number 2 here just had a sticky valve. I got that freed up. Number 4, I found both valves were sticky. I got them working. Unfortunately, that cam follower is stuck up and it won't go back down. And in number 3 here, you can see the intake valve is stuck open. So we've still got 2 dead cylinders, and unfortunately, the only way I'm going to be able to fix this is to take the cylinder head off. So that's what we're doing now. Thankfully, like the little case, it's a flathead. It's pretty easy to take the head off. I've got all the head bolts cracked loose now. Now I have to just get these 4 that hold the water pump to the cylinder head. The water pump is also, you can see, bolted to the underside of the radiator. So we'll just leave it sit there. Take these 4 bolts out. Then I'll take all the head bolts out and we should be able to lift out the head. Okay, so I finally got the head off. It was a little bit of a struggle because this bolt was broken. Of course, you can see here it's loose in the head, but it was, it's loose in the block, but it was stuck in the cylinder head. And I had a hell of a time getting this. The head had to just come up bit by bit by bit by bit, sticking wedges and stuff in there. I did manage to destroy the head gasket, but we'll have to see if we can find another one. Look at all the crud in the water pump. This thing's just been sitting forever. But we're going to fix it. The one stuck valve, I've tapped it down already. I've tapped down the stuck lifter. Now we're just going to keep lubing it and turning it and lubing it and turning it and lubing it and turning it till those things all work freely. And then we'll clean everything up, get a new head gasket, put it back together. Alright, now I can start putting it back together. Thank goodness. We're going to start by putting the side cover on, cover up the valves. They're all nice and free now and everything's working good. I would lash them, but I have no idea how to do that. You probably have to take them all apart and put selective caps or something on them. I have no time for that. I know this thing was running before, so we're just going to leave it. Unfortunately, in the battle to get the head off, our copper head gasket took a real beating. I don't have another one, and it's not like I can run to the parts store and grab one. So we're just going to cobble this up as best as we can and give it 3 Hail Marys and hope it holds. I will eventually replace it, don't get me wrong, but for right now, we're going to have to make this one work. I have to repair the fire rings here a little bit and a couple of other little repairs. This here, it was eaten away. That wasn't even me, but that's just old age that did that. But we'll get her fixed up. Yes, it's ugly, but it should work for a few minutes just to fire it up and make sure she's okay. I'm going to let this silicone skin up a bit, and then we'll lower the head on and start putting bolts in. I have no idea what in the world to torque these things to, but as a general rule of thumb, they're 1/2-inch coarse bolts. I would normally torque those to about 90 foot-pounds. So these old 40s and 50s bolts don't have the hardness, the strength that modern bolts usually do. So and some of them looked a little sketchy. So I'm probably going to stop at about 80. I'm going to do it in 2 steps. First step, I'm going to do 40. And then the second step, I'm going to come and I'm going to do 80. And that should do it. Okay, she's all back together, I think anyway. Now I'm gonna squirt some ether in it and wind it over a bit and see if it'll cough. We got it to cough and sputter a couple of times, but she just won't catch. A couple of times it went kind of brrrp, and you could hear it. It hit on all 4 cylinders, but it just wouldn't keep going. So we're going to get it off the trailer and we're going to put it in 2nd gear and pull it around with the Kubota a bit and see if we can get it to bump start. So I had it turning over and it coughs and sputters, but it just won't catch. So I said, well, let's see if we've got a fuel flow problem, which we do not. So I've got the carburetor off it now, and I'm just going to kind of go through that again. I've been through it once and it seemed okay, but I'm going to have a little better look at it. A little more attention to detail and make sure there's nothing awry in there. Mercy sakes, the big Fordson is alive. Now you can tell that when we made up our little distributor, something didn't exactly get welded straight, and she does the E-Street shuffle. But that's okay, it's sparking and it's running. And now that I know it runs, we're going to try and get the magneto working again. But it's alive!